Fox 4's Richard Ray joining us now with more on the military system and why also that may make it more difficult to get the death penalty. Rich.
Heather, the military has not executed a soldier in almost 50 years. Since the system was revamped in 1984, 15 soldiers have been sentenced to death, but none actually executed.
My practice is basically limited to representing service members.
Stephen Karns served 6 years as a military lawyer, now works military cases in his civilian practice, including defending one of the soldiers in the Abu Ghraib prison abuse trial in Iraq. Yeah. Death penalties in the military system, he says, are rare.
It doesn't mean that they don't try. It just ultimately there's just a lot of hurdles that they have to go through and hoops that they have to jump through that it just oftentimes, either they don't get convicted of it or it gets reversed, or the commander decides that they don't want to impose the death penalty.
Today we gather to mourn the loss of 13 American heroes.
The process begins with a commanding general, potentially Fort Hood's lieutenant, appointing a judge and at least a 12-member panel made up of officers who outrank Major Hasan. An Article 32 hearing is the military's version of a grand jury probe, but it's more like a mini trial. At court-martial in a death penalty case, jurors must decide unanimously on both verdict and sentence. Then the appeals begin, military and civilian.
And can go up to the Supreme Court.
In a similar case, Sergeant Hassan Akbar rolled a grenade into a tent at the beginning of the Iraq War, killing 2 of his officers and wounding 14 soldiers at a camp in Kuwait. 5 years after he was sentenced to death at court-martial, his case is still stalled at just the first appellate level. Major Nidal Hasan's family has hired a retired colonel who is working with military defense attorneys. He's already raised the issue of Hasan's mental condition. An insanity plea is possible.
I've advised appropriate military officials that no interviews, no interrogations should be conducted by law enforcement.
The most serious charge in a military court is premeditated murder, which carries the death penalty.
If this case weren't appropriate for it, I don't know what case would be.
There are currently 6 people on the military's death row at the prison in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. Other cases under review. The appeals typically run on for decades, ending only after the President of the United States signs off. The military has not executed one of its own since 1961. Richard Ray, Fox 4 News.